Here we go. Okay, so we're going to start with just our usual. We're going to be sitting down in our chairs and starting with our neck stretches. I like to do a head to toe warm up before we kind of get into the little bit more challenging exercises. Okay, so we're going to sit up nice and tall in our chairs. The crown of the head reaches up towards the ceiling. And we're going to start by turning our heads to look over the right shoulder. And now we'll turn to look over the left shoulder. Turning to look back over the right. And now over the left. And this time we'll turn, look over that right shoulder, and we're going to hold it here for 3, 2, 1, and turning to look over our left shoulder, and we'll hold for 3, 2, 1, looking straight ahead. Now tucking our chins down towards the chest. And then we'll look up to the ceiling just in front of us. Chin comes back down towards the chest. And then looking up to the ceiling out in front of us. Now we'll take our chin down towards the chest and we'll hold it here for 3, 2, 1. And then looking up to the ceiling just in front of us, and we'll hold for 3, 2, 1. Looking straight ahead, keeping our shoulders down away from the ears. We're going to tilt that right ear over towards the right shoulder. And now the left ear comes over to the left shoulder, keeping the shoulders down. That's very important for this one. And right ear comes back over to the right shoulder. And left ear now to the left. And now we're going to take that right ear back over to the right shoulder, and we'll hold it here, pressing those shoulders down and away for 3, 2, 1. And now the left ear over to the left shoulder and holding as we press the shoulders down and away for 3, 2, 1. Head comes back up to the center. Again, that stretch is really good for someone who may have a lot of tension through their neck and shoulders. Now let's roll the shoulders forward, nice big circles. You have to excuse my Ninja Turtle shirt. Usually I take this off before class starts, but it's a little breezy and cool in this room today. So you're getting to see the Ninja Turtles until it warms up. And alternating right and then left shoulder going forward. Doesn't take too long to warm up though. And elbows come up and over now. And then working out to full extension with those arms. Now remember, you can keep your body square to focus more on opening up the shoulder joint, or you can rotate through the torso to get some movement through the muscles of the core. It's up to you. Arms come down, and now we're going to go backwards. So rolling both shoulders backwards together, big circles here. And then we're going to alternate right and then left shoulder going backwards. And then we'll start to bring those elbows up and over. And working up towards full extension with the arms. Either rotating a bit through the core or keeping the body square and focusing on opening the shoulders. One day you may do one version, another day you may want to get a different area. And arms can come down, hands in front, circling the wrists now, loosening them up. And we'll circle our wrists the opposite direction. Now we'll circle only our thumbs. And let's circle our thumbs the opposite direction. Now we'll squeeze our hands closed and open, squeeze, open, squeeze, open, squeeze, open, and then we'll squeeze, open, just wiggle all the fingers. And we can take those hands down. We're gonna just loosen up those ankles. So if you need to move back in your chair, you can. We'll take the feet out in front and we'll circle the ankles. So you want to make big circles here. Really try and go through that full range of motion. And then we'll circle our ankles the opposite direction. Maybe some cracking and popping. And now we'll point the toes and we'll flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, and point, flex. Wiggle the feet side to side. So trying to get those muscles that stabilize the inside and outside of our ankle joints. And feet can come down. So we'll move into the cardio warm-up portion of class. You can remain seated or stand up. I will give options for both. So if you're going to stand up, you can do that now. Just need to adjust my camera a little bit. Apparently I wasn't very good at that today. And we're gonna start with our feet about hip width distance apart here. And for 30 seconds, we're gonna press up onto our toes and come back down. So we're working our calf muscles here, just pressing up and controlling it back down. Now, one thing you can think of here is sometimes we tend to roll to the outside as we go onto the balls of our feet. Try and keep the pressure even as you go. That's going to help balance out those muscles that go down the inside and outside of our ankles. Almost there. And now we're going to switch. So let's pull the toes up off the floor. Just turn sideways so you can see. So squeezing the muscles along the fronts of the shins. Now try not to throw your hips way back. Keep them underneath you as best as you can. And I know I say every time, but depending on the flexibility of your ankles, you may have to shift a little bit further than other people. We have 5 seconds left in this one. All right, now we're going to alternate. So we're going to go up onto the toes, then pull the toes up off the floor. So just rocking. Now, if you want to add in the arms can come up as you go onto the toes and back down as you go onto the heels. Nice and controlled here. So it's a little bit more of a challenge for your balance. It's a little bit longer. And let's get into a regular march here. So this is going to be our resting exercise in between the bigger movements. You have options. You can take it nice and easy, especially if you need to catch your breath, or you can march a little bit more vigorously. That's up to you. And if you're seated, you're just marching in your chair. We have 5 seconds until we make the movement a little bit bigger. Here we go. We're going to bring those knees up towards the chest in a high knee march. Arms can march along with. Nice strong core. Press down through the standing leg. If you're seated, you're just pulling that knee up towards the chest, just marching in your chair. Good. So we're starting to dig into the muscles in the hips here a bit more, loosening them up as well. And if you really press down through the leg that you're standing on, it's going to help to open up the front of the hip joint. Now back to our regular march. Now I try to make the movements the same, whether you're standing or seated, but this next one is the one where I have to do different movements. So I'm going to first demonstrate the seated. We're still marching. If you're seated, you're going to be pressing your heel into the floor. Switch, press the heel into the floor, getting the back of the leg. Standing, folks, you're going to bring the heel up towards the behind. Try and keep the knee pointing down towards the floor. And if you want with those arms, you can reach across the body. So you're using the hamstrings to squeeze the heel, but you're getting a bit of a stretch through the front of the thigh. And again, if you're seated, you're digging that heel into the floor, digging the heel into the floor, engaging the muscles that run all down the back of the leg there. All right, let's get back into our regular march. So you should have felt those hamstrings working, the ones that go back down the back of the thigh. So with our high knee march, we got the muscles through the front of the hips and thighs, with the heels up or digging the heels into the floor. We got the muscles on the back. Now we're gonna go inside, outside. So we're gonna side step touch here. Arms can come up to shoulder level, open and close. And if you're seated, this looks the same. Side step touch, arms can open and close. Try and keep those shoulders down away from the ears. Avoid shrugging them up. That's going to bring unnecessary tension into the neck. We're almost there with this one at least. And back to our regular march. We got a couple more of our regular ones here, and then we've got some different combinations at the end of the cardio block. All right, we're gonna go into our step out jumping jack here. Just step out together, arms can follow. Now, if you wanna go a little bit further, you can sink down through those knees a bit, or add a little bit of pep into that step. If you're seated, it looks the same. We're just stepping out together. Good. Remember, you're going at your own pace, or you can go a little bit further. If you're sinking down through those knees, try and keep the weight even between your legs. And let's go back to our regular march. And we've got about 10 seconds until we move into our V step. So adding a little bit of forward and backwards movement here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna step wide out in front, back together. Wide out in front, back together. Arms can match. And again, if you wanna go a little bit further, you can sink down through those knees or stay up tall. Seated, it looks the same here. We're just going heels out in front, feet underneath us, and together. All right, so we're getting the same muscles, whether you're standing or sitting in your chair. Almost there. And let's go back to our regular march. All right, so you got some patterns coming up here. Kind of going to warm us up for our leg exercises we've got coming later. So our first one here, if you're standing, we're going to go with that right leg, and then it's going to be knee up and then straight leg extension. So knee, straight leg, knee, straight leg. Seated, you're going to have your leg extended to begin with. You're going to go knee up, straight leg, knee up, straight leg. So if you're sitting down, extend that right leg out in front, and standing, here we go. We're gonna go knee up, straight leg, knee up, straight leg. Go your own pace here. So we're gonna do 30 seconds at your own pace. Core strong, keeping it just with that right leg at this point. Really pull that belly button into the spine, especially with that straight leg raise, so that you don't lean back. And let's go back to our regular march here, just 15 seconds before we do the other leg. So we're gonna do the left leg, same thing. So here we go, we're gonna go left knee up, then straight leg raise. Knee up, straight leg raise. Seated, that left leg's extended, knee up, straight leg raise. Knee up, straight leg raise. Good, so it's the same thing, whether you're seated or standing, it's just how you're doing it. Remember, go at your own pace. You can slow it down, and it can be just little movements. That's absolutely fine. Let's get into our regular march here. All right, a little bit of a rest. And we're gonna do the same type of idea, but we're going out to the side. with the next one. So I'm going to start with the seated demonstration while we're still marching. So we're going to have our right leg out to the side if you're sitting down, and with the knee out to the side, we're going to go knee up, straight leg raise, but it's on an angle. So my body's still facing straight ahead, but that leg lift and knee up is out to the side. So standing can be the same thing. We're going to go knee to the side, straight leg raise to the side there. All right, so exact same idea, just in a different spot. Here we go. Knee to the side, straight leg raise to the side. Let's try and keep that body squared straight ahead. Now, if this bothers your hip, just go back to the straight in front one. All right, sometimes being out to the side like that can irritate your hip if you have arthritis in there. Just listen to your body. Good job. About 5 more seconds here. And we're going to go back to our regular march for a short rest before we do our left leg. You're almost through this part. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing with the left leg. So we're going to have that left knee to the side, straight leg raise to the side. Left knee, straight leg. And sitting in your chair, it's the same. Just go ahead at your own pace. Knee, straight leg. Knee, straight leg. Again, that core is strong. So I just switch back and forth between the seated and the standing version. I often do more demonstrations standing because what I see on screen, there's more people standing up at this point. And let's go back to our regular march. So we can slow this march down. We're going to let our heart rate come down a little bit before we have a seat and get into a little bit of core work. All right, we're going to go 5 more seconds, nice and easy here. And we can pull our chairs out. We can have a seat in our chairs. I'm just going to take off the Ninja Turtle shirt. It's getting warm enough in here now. All right, so we're going to do our floor touches here to start with. You do my classes, then you do this one all the time. I really like it for stretching out that low back. We're going to take our feet about chair width distance apart here. And remember, we're keeping both hips firmly planted on the chair, starting with our right hand reaching down towards the floor on that right side, left hip firmly planted, coming up to center. And then both hands now reach down in the middle and sitting up tall. Left hand comes down to the left and sitting up tall. Then both hands come back down in the middle again. And we'll sit up tall. We're going to go through that one more time, holding each position. I'm just going to turn sideways so you can see the position of my back while we do this. So we're going to take that right hand down towards the floor on the right side, left hip firmly planted, and hold it here. Notice my back stays flat for 3, 2, 1. Coming up to the center. Both hands now come down in the middle. You see, I'm not rounding through that upper back at all, keeping it nice and flat for 3, 2, 1. Sitting up tall. Left hand now comes down to the floor on the left, right hip firmly planted. We're going to hold for another 3, 2, 1, and sitting up tall. Last one of these, both hands reaching down in the middle again, and we're going to hold it here for 3, 2, 1, and sitting up tall, and our feet can come back together. So by keeping your back flat in that position, 2 things happen that I'm going to focus on at least, is we move the stretch down into the low back and the hips, which we're often really tight in that area. But what it also does is it keeps the strain out of that upper back, because anytime we round forward, we put extra strain through the vertebrae of the spine, And this becomes a problem, particularly if you have bone density issues, such as osteopenia or osteoporosis. You want to avoid that rounding forward or that hunched forward position to keep strain out of the bones in the spine. So keeping the shoulders back, we not only keep the strain out of the spine, we move the stretch down lower in the body, which is good because we're often tight there. All right, we're gonna go on to our sit-ups with our hamstring stretch. So we're gonna take our right heel onto the floor out in front. So it's nice and straight. Left foot's firmly on the floor in front of us. Sitting up nice and tall here. Arms are gonna come out in front. And then we're actually gonna lean it back so that our back touches that backrest. Squeeze it up. And then we're gonna hinge it forward from the hips with a nice flat spine, stretching the hamstring. And up tall. 4 more on this leg. Leaning back, squeezing that belly button in as we come up to center, and then hinge it forward and sitting up tall. Shoulders are down away from the ears. Leaning back, and then we exhale as we squeeze ourselves up, and then hinge it forward from the hips. Coming back up to center. 2 more. Leaning back, squeezing those abs up to center, hinging forward and up to center. Once more, leaning back, squeezing up, and then hinging forward, up to center. Arms can come down. We're going to switch legs. Right leg comes in, left heel comes out, shoulders are down, arms come up. If your shoulders are really sore, you can bring the arms in and cross them over the chest. Here we go. Let's lean it back. Squeeze those abs up to center. Then hinge it forward from the hips. And sitting up tall. Leaning back. Squeeze the belly button in as we come up to center. Hinging forward. And sitting up tall. Leaning back. Exhale as you bring it up to center, hinge it forward, and up tall. 2 more here, leaning back. Exhale as you squeeze those abs up to center, hinging forward, up tall. Last one, shoulders stay down, leaning back, squeeze those abs up to center, and then hinging forward, up tall. Arms can come down. Feet can come onto the floor. So we're actually going to do a strengthening exercise here for our low back next. Now I want you to make sure you keep a flat spine. So no hunching forward through that upper body at all. Shoulders are going to be down and back. We're actually going to take the arms up so that our fingertips are just behind our ears. Elbows stay back. And then what we're going to do, pull the belly button into the spine, and then we're actually going to hinge it forward. And then sit back up tall here. We're going to hinge it forward and then sitting up tall. So notice my spine stays nice and straight. Hinging forward and up tall. 2 more. Hinging forward and up tall. Once more. Hinging forward and up tall. Good. Arms can come down, and really we actually did 10 of those before we did that one. When we did our hinge forward and back up, you just don't really realize that that's what you're doing while you're doing the exercise. All right, we're going to move on to our leg strengthening exercises. If you can, please stand up. You're going to get the most out of it. However, you can do these ones seated in the chair if standing is not for you. So we're going to stand up. We're either going to be behind or beside our chair. If you have to be behind your chair, you're going to need to angle yourself a little bit because we are bringing our legs up in front today. First one starts fairly easy. All we're going to do is stand on that left leg. We're going to start with that right foot up off the floor in front of us if we can. If you do need to touch it down for balance, you can, but ideally we're going to keep it up. Then we're going to pull the belly button into the spine, and our knees just going to come up to 90 degrees, and then we're going to bring it back down. So keep the hips level, shoulders square. Here we go. Knee comes up and then down. So we exhale up Inhale down, core is strong for 3. Don't let those hips shift. 4, 5, pressing down through that standing leg. 6, 7, 8, core is strong. 9 and 10. Good. Now, if you notice, I keep my hands on my hips quite a bit or have them right at the side. What that does for me is it just allows me to notice what my hips are doing. So particularly when we get into these exercises where we're on one leg, what can happen is a hip can pop out to the side, one drops down, and we kind of go off center. So we want to keep them nice and level. And for me, holding my hands on my hips is a little reminder to do that and a way for me to tell if I'm not. And I also do it as a little bit of a cue for you guys to remind you to keep those hips level and square. All right, so we're doing the same thing, other side. Here we go, core is strong, hips are level, knee comes up, and then we're gonna bring it down. Knee up and down. If you have to hold on for balance, absolutely do. For 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. That leg can come down. So we're going to build on that move for the next one. This is where it gets a little harder, and you're going to really start to feel those leg muscles. So again, you can do this seated if you need to. With this one, we're going to start with that right knee up. Now, wherever we start with that knee, we want to keep it there. And we're going to extend the leg and then bend. So what we don't want to do is be bringing the knee down. We want to keep it up nice and high and extend, press the heel forward and bend. Because what we're using here is actually our hamstrings along the back of our leg as resistance to work the front of the leg a little bit harder. So if you let that knee drop down, we're losing that resistance. All right, so I really want you to fight to keep the knee nice and high as you can. So you may be down here, and that's fine. Just don't let it drop down in between. So we're going to stand on our left leg, right knee comes up. Here we go. We're going to extend and bend. Extend and bend. For 3, 4, knee stays nice and high. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. That leg can come down. You should feel that through the front of that hip and thigh. Same thing on the other side. And if you're seated, just a quick demo, you're just holding that knee up and extending and bending. All right, standing on our right leg. Now, core is strong, left knee up, holding it up as we extend and bend. Extend and bend. For 3, 4, 5, 6, don't let that knee drop. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. That leg can come down. All right, so we're actually, if you're standing, we're going to stretch out that area with the neck strengthening exercise. So this is where the two are going to look different if you're standing versus seated. So our standing group, you're going to be standing on the left leg. You're going to be starting with that right knee bent. I'm just demonstrating because I do have to demonstrate the seated one after this. I want you to keep your core strong. You're going to use the glutes along the back. We're going to kick out behind and then bend it in. So using the glutes, kick and in, but we're not arching the back. Core stays strong so that we're using the glutes. If you're seated, you're actually going to do a half stand up with this one. So we're going to have your right foot underneath of you, your left foot out in front if you can, and then you're just going to stand part way up and come back down. Part way up and down. So you're doing the same movement as the standing group, you're just doing it from the chair. All right, so Here we go. Sitting on the left foot if you're standing. Left foot's out in front if you're seated. And with that right foot, we're going to kick out behind or press into the floor for a half stand up and bring it in. We're going to press it out and in. Press it out and in. So half stand up if you're seated and down. Half stand up and down. 5 more of these. Press it out and in. Core is strong. Kick it out and in. Half stand up if you're seated and down. 2 more. Press the heel and in. And last one, press and in. Good. That leg can come down and we're going to switch sides. So standing up, you're standing on your right leg, bending the left knee. Seated, the left foot is underneath you, right foot is out in front. Core is strong. Here we go. Let's press into that heel and bring it in. Press and in. If you're seated, you're half standing up and sit down. Half stand and sit. We're going to kick and in. 5 more. Press with the heel and in. Core stays strong. Press and in. Good. Press. Squeeze the glute and in. 2 more times. Press and in and press and in. Good. And that foot can come down. So we can have a seat in our chairs and we're actually going to grab just one weight today. We're doing single side so that we're also having to work our stabilizers a lot more. If you would like to remain standing for the first 2, you can, but you will have to sit down for the third one. So we're going to start with the weight in our right hand, and we're actually going to bring it over in front of our left hip. I want you to keep your shoulders square. Now from here, we're going to run the path of a seatbelt. So we're actually going to take that right hand up to that upper right corner and then bring it back down. I want you to squeeze the shoulder blades together. Here we go. Exhale, lift it up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Lift. And lower. Think of that shoulder blade. Squeezing in and down. And down. Good. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Good. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Shoulders stay down away from the ears. You lift. And lower. Last one here. Lift. And lower. Good. Switching sides. Now, this one I actually got when I did the Bone Fit training with Osteoporosis Canada. It's one that's recommended for your posture to help those muscles to the upper back. I'm not going to use my weight for this one. I do have some tendonitis going on in my forearm here on this side. I'm just going to do the movement without the weight. So we're going to take that weight in front of the right hip. It's in that left hand. And here we go. Path of the seatbelt. Up over the shoulder and down. Core is strong. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Up and down. So thinking of that posture, shoulder blade in and down and lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Shoulders stay away from the ears. Lift and lower. Good. Nice tall posture here. And lower. Abs stay strong. Lift and lower. Sitting tall through the spine. Lift and lower. So crown of the head reaches to the ceiling. Lift and lower. And last one here, shoulder blade down and back as we lift and lower. Good. Now we're going to grab the weight with our right hand now. Sorry, you don't have to grab it, it's already in your hands. And we're going to do a hinge forward low row. So we're going to have our feet firmly on the floor in front of us, and we're going to hinge forward about 45 degrees, and the weight's going to start down here. If you're standing, feet are going to be about hip width distance apart, and you're hinging forward with a flat spine, shoulders are down and back. And from here, I want you to make sure those shoulders stay square. So don't rotate down with that weight in one side. And we're going to squeeze our shoulder blade and roll and then lower. So exhale, roll, inhale, lower. For 3, 4, core stays strong. 5, 6, nice flat spine. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. So you're going to weight into your left hand. Again, I'm not going to use the weight on this side. So we're hinged forward still, 45 degrees, spine is straight, and we're going to squeeze that elbow alongside the rib cage as we roll and lower. Exhale, roll, inhale, lower. So squeeze the shoulder blade and lower. For 4, belly button squeezes into the spine. 5, 6, shoulders stay down away from the ears. 7, 8, 9, last one, really squeeze that shoulder blade. 10, good. And we can sit up tall. Now this is where everyone's going to have a seat in their chairs because we're going to be doing a chest press, single side. So we're going to be forward in our chairs here so that we're able to lean back, core stays strong. Weight is in your right hand and starting it in front of your shoulders. I'm trying to get all angles so you can see what I'm doing here. And now we're going to press it up and out and lower. So exhale, press, inhale, lower. For 3, keep that neck in a neutral position. 4, 5, abs stay strong. 6, 7, 8, 9, one more here, 10, good. Switching the weight into your left hand. I'm just going to turn angles again. We're still leaning back, starting that weight in front of the shoulder here. And here we go. We're going to press and bring it down. Exhale, press, inhale, lower. Nice neutral position with the neck for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you'll feel your chest muscles working here. 8, and your tricep as you press it out. 9 and 10. Good. Weight can come down and you can put it aside. We're just going to move into our cool down stretch here. You're almost all done. The hard work is over. So we're going to come forward in our chair so that we can extend our right heel onto the floor out in front of us. And we're just going to take that right hand. We'll just reach it towards the toes, feeling a stretch all along the back of the leg. And we're going to hold it here for 3, 2, 1. Coming up out of that leg can come in. Left heel now onto the floor, flexing the toe back. Left hand now reaches towards the toes. And we'll hold, stretching the back of this leg for 3, 2, 1. And we'll come up out of that. That leg can come in. Now taking that right leg on an angle to the side. And we're going to take that right hand, reach it towards the toes off to the side. So you might feel this along the inside of the thigh if your body is staying more square. Or if you rotate over towards the toe, you might feel it through the outside of the low back. And we'll hold for 3, 2, 1. Coming up out of that leg can come in. Left heel on an angle to the side. And left hand reaches towards the toes. And again, if you stay a little bit more square straight ahead, you'll feel it more through the inner thigh. Or if you rotate towards that toe, you'll get it more through the outside of the low back. For 3, 2, 1. Coming up out of that leg can come in. You can scoot back in your chair and we'll take our feet out in front and we're going to circle those ankles one more time. And let's circle the ankles the opposite direction. Good. And now let's point the toes and flex. Point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, and point, flex. Wiggle the feet side to side. Good. Feet can come down. Now let's take that right arm out. We're going to cross it over our bodies. Left hand pulls it in towards yourself, but slide that shoulder down away from the ear. And we're going to hold here for 3, 2, 1. Releasing that arm down. Left arm comes out, crossing it over. Right hand pulls it in towards the body, but slide the shoulder down away from the ear. And we're going to hold for 3, 2, 1. Releasing that arm. Let's roll our shoulders forward. And then rolling the shoulders backwards. And then shoulders can stay still. Sitting tall through our spine, stretching out our necks here. Let's turn our heads, look over the right shoulder, and we'll hold for 3, 2, 1. And then turning to look over the left shoulder and holding for 3, 2, 1. Looking straight ahead. Now let's tuck our chin down towards the chest for 3, 2, 1. And then looking up to the ceiling out in front of us for 3, 2, 1. Looking straight ahead. Shoulders stay down. Right ear tilts over to our right shoulder for 3, 2, 1. And the left ear now to the left shoulder, and we'll hold for 3, 2, 1. Head back up to the center. One deep yoga breath, hands to the sides, and we'll sweep the arms up as we take a deep inhale in. A little more air in at the top, and then we'll exhale, squeeze it all out. And we'll finish with that for today. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day, everyone.